Hello again, YouTube. This is my second video, and as promised I was going to tell you a bit more about my journey and why I'm doing this. A couple of months ago I put a big Facebook post up, really big, bit of War and Peace, not going to read it out like to you, but this seemed to hit home with quite a few people who had dealt with mental health issues, or who knew people that dealt with mental health issues, or who worked with clients that had mental health issues. So basically I'm going to give you my background, my story, and how I got to where I am. So I have suffered from mental health issues since I was in my early teens. To be honest, possibly even before that. I remember feelings of paranoia and anxiety when I was in primary school. For those of you not in Scotland, primary school is up to about the age of 11. This got worse when I was in high school. There's various reasons behind it. I'll maybe go into those later. I took my first overdose when I was about 14, 15. Completely honest, this was not intended to kill myself. This was me saying, I am hurting, I am in so much pain, and I do not know how to deal with it. I don't know where to turn to. And I had hoped that if I timed it right, by the time my parents came home from work, I would be really ill, I would take to hospital, they would find out what had happened, and maybe someone would help me. Actually, nothing happened. I didn't take enough paracetamol to do anything. The only person I told was one of my close friends at the time, and I'm not really sure she believed what had happened, that I'd actually done it, because there I am the next day at school saying that I did this and I looked perfectly fine. So continuing having real anxiety problems, feeling absolutely dreadful, in complete despair, but on the outside everything was fine because I didn't feel I had anyone to turn to. So when I'm 16, I have a complete meltdown at school. Speak to a teacher and I advise them that months earlier, when I was 15, I was assaulted by a family friend. I had no idea how to deal with this. I hadn't told anyone. I honestly just did not know what to do. And this person was still in my life as a family friend. How do I deal with this? I ended up being referred to a GP. GP was not the greatest. Now, before I say anything about the NHS, I think one of the best things this country has ever done, and one of the proudest things we should celebrate, is our NHS. So yes, I'm going to give you some examples of some really bad treatment I've had through various NHS areas over the years, but do not think that I am in any way having to go at the NHS. I have many friends and family that work for the NHS, and I really respect what they do, which is very, very hard and often in really difficult conditions. So anyway, I went to see this doctor, and he was the family doctor, known him for years, and I explained what had happened, and the first question he asked me was, what was I wearing? And made me explain what I had worn to this gathering of friends and family. He then asked me why I'd got myself into a predicament of being with this man. Bearing in mind, I had known this man for many years, good family friend. It would be like asking why you were alone with your uncle. And I didn't know how to react to this. He then turned to me and said, because I wasn't going to the police, I wasn't interested in pressing charges, that he wasn't going to refer me for help. Now, whether he thought I'd been asking for it, whether he didn't believe me, whether he just didn't care, I don't know. But at that point I should have been offered something, but I wasn't. So there I am, 16. Obviously at 16 everyone thinks you know everything, and you don't. You know nothing. I'm on my own. I don't have siblings. Didn't have the kind of relationship with either of my parents where I could discuss this. I told one friend, but I never got this dealt with. So here I am spiralling. Very soon afterwards, I got into what would be classed as quite a bad relationship with a much older man. I ended up starting to self-harm. I then left home and went to university. I was quite lucky. I got into university a year early. So I got away from an area that I wanted to be away from, but I wasn't coping. Very luckily, I didn't get into drink or drugs. I think because I probably know that I've got quite an addictive personality. Doesn't mean that I was a student and wasn't drinking, because there's not many of them about. I was certainly having a few drinks. Was smoking cigarettes quite a lot. Went to the university doctor. I said, I need help. I really need help. And I was put on pills. Registered with a doctor in the city. And again, within a year, I was at the doctor's begging for help. I said, I need a counsellor. I need psychiatric help. I need to get to the root of the problems. I don't want pills. I'm not just sad. I'm not miserable. By this point, I think I'd overdosed twice and had my stomach pumped. And I was told, don't bother. There's a really long waiting list. Just keep taking the pills. Keep taking the pills. My time at university is actually quite fractured in my memory, and I think a lot of it was to do with the depression. I missed out on so many things. I didn't have the confidence to go. Even when I was invited out with friends, I wouldn't trust that these friends really wanted me there. I just, absolute despair. I was miserable. At one point I was put on Prozac. I was put on kind of the highest dose of Prozac you can possibly get. And I'd confided in one of my friends at uni that this was happening, who told one of my other friends, who then reacted by saying, how dare you not tell me that you're on Prozac? That is so cool. And I remember walking away in tears saying, if you think that's cool, spend 5 minutes in my head. And this was all because of the book that was out at the time, Prozac Nation, and everyone thought this was fantastic and it was cool, and it's not cool to be like this. So by this point I have 2 more stays in hospital, missing an awful lot of time at university. I was at some point referred to a psychiatric counselling unit, and I appeared there for the date that they had given me for an appointment, to be told that I'd got the wrong date. I actually had the letter with the date of the appointment. I was told it was the wrong date and I couldn't see anyone, and then I never got another date sent out to me. So by the time I'm leaving the university town that I was in, I'm a complete mess. I've had no counselling. I did have a supportive kind of counsellor at the university, but not a mental health counsellor, just someone that was generally there for students that were struggling. She was great, but she couldn't give me the help I needed. By this point, I came out of a different long-term relationship. I have to say hats off to him, because he dealt with an awful lot with me. I then ended up going into quite a destructive relationship, quite a controlling relationship, and dropped out of university, left everyone that was a support network, ended up in a relationship where I was really cut off from everyone. The doctor in that area wasn't very good and made me feel awful, so I just didn't go back. So I ended up on no medication, I had no one to turn to, in a bad relationship, and I ended up pregnant. Now, I was going to say unfortunately, but I got a wonderful son from it. So pregnant, working and travelling, it was all very, very stressful. Buying a house with my partner, even though I knew it wasn't a good relationship. I think everyone has this kind of dream that you have the children, the white picket fence, and the kids have mum and dad, and you have a good family unit to bring your children up in. I think that's what everyone looks for, and I kind of felt that that's what I owed my son, so I stayed in that relationship. So that brings me up to the age of 23. Probably won't tell you what my age is now, but I'm sure you'll work it out. That is my second video. I don't want to bore you to tears. I hope that you'll come back and listen, because there is a point to me telling you this story. I will continue in the next video, and I really like to see you there. Hopefully in the long run, watching all these videos will help some people out there. It might give you some pointers, some information and places to turn. So until next time, bye.